Hi, this is Becky Gromlich with the Watercolor Classroom. Today we're going to paint this little Easter bunny, and I'm starting with some frisket on the back. And the way that I put frisket on is with a ink pen, and I just dip it in. I only use this for very fine lines, and I've put most of it on already. It usually comes out a little bit thicker than you'd think, even when you're using a quill pen. So you want to try and lift as you move outwards so that you get less of that. Once that's dry, you can start painting, and I've done the rest already. I'm starting with my palette with Gamboge, Azo Yellow, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Quinacridone Rust, Sap Green, and Phthalo Blue Red Hue. I'm going to make my bunny damp, and I'm not going to put it into these areas that are white right here and up here yet, to help me to save that. And the grays down here. It goes all the way down into his foot. Dipping my brush and drying it. I use a cellulose sponge. It's a mess, looks like this, but they last a long time. And right away, I'm going to get a different brush that's damp and soften this edge right here so that we don't get a really sharp line along there. As we move across this little guy, he gets more of a yellower color. So we're going to add some Gamboge into the mix and transition. That's quite red. So I'm going to rinse and add some more Gamboge. And there are some red areas in here. So right now I'm just trying to get color on and the gradations of color. Right in here there's a white spot, a whitish spot on this guy. And the front of his leg is sort of oranger. And there's a little bit of rust that goes up in here a little bit. And it goes right down its back until about here. I didn't draw part of his ear, so I'm making it up as I go. I'm gonna get some of that gray on this side right here. It got quite dark, so just smooth it over. There's a circle around his eye. It's actually quite a bit darker than I just made it. Probably he has some whiskers, but they aren't showing. Then it gets into a lighter color around here. This is going to be a very quick bunny, a little different from my usual. Now, one thing that's different about this paper is that it stays wet quite a bit longer, and so I'm having to, it keeps running together. The shading that I'm doing keeps running together and changing. I need a bit more color down here to do the shading to make his body look round. this part here, it does have a little bit of yellow at the top. And same with up here. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in this part. And then around the ears, I'm not going to put the backlit. I'm not going to get this backlit part wet. Now I put some alizarin crimson on my palette, and I'm going to mix it with some gamboge and see if I can get the right color for the ears. So they're kind of, I start with this one. And I'm going to come across with a little bit more gold. The sun is making them look this brighter color. And then right at the top, put just some very red. I'm spending more time and detail on these ears than, and now I'm putting some gray than I am on the body, because I think they're part of what makes the rabbit cute. And now we need to be sure to leave that white line. So I'm going slow here. Hopefully you're not getting too tired of watching. And I'm going to get some real pink out for this ear to blend in with the, I think I'll put some of the pink up in here too, to tie them together. Of course, that's way too brilliant of a pink. The eye is pretty dark, and I'm just going to go ahead and get some Payne's Gray on here and mix it with a little bit of the blue so that it's not quite as Payne's Gray. Perhaps indigo would work as well. And then there's a bluer area that is the reflection from the sky. And I'm going to do that in the phthalo. This bluer area reflects other things too, like the rabbit itself. So I want it to be shaped like a reflection. And I'm going to let that dry before I go on more. His leg. Even his front leg. So this video might be about reasons to use good quality paper. This is, before I work on this eye anymore, well, I guess I could do the next layer, which is sort of a golden layer, and get it blending with what's around it. Really is quite something, the way it's almost like painting on Yupo. I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but this paper seems a bit plasticky. Well, his eye, I just went a little bit too high on it. It's gonna be a bit of a big-eyed bunny. Now that blue is way too dark, bright. Looks like I'm trying to make a blue-eyed bunny rather than a reflection. And I probably will put a dot in there before I'm all done. I'm just gonna have another tiny bit of pinkish color. The nose, which actually barely shows on the painting. Right, now we're going to work on the background. Okay, I'm going to be using the phthalo blue with the red hue in it. And starting at the top, getting some lovely blooms. Well, this paper's nice for blooms if that's what you're going for. I'm drying out my brush because the sky would get lighter as it goes down. And so I want to actually clean my brush. One thing with these quill brushes is that they hold a ton of water. And so you can get carried away with water really easily. So now because of the way this paper's working, I'm gonna kind of play it by ear here and make some clouds, because it's not working to make a smooth wash. And I usually just do that with tissue, or I often just do that with tissues unless there's a certain special cloud formation. Now you don't want those jaggedy looking spots there, so we're gonna, and if you don't get your clouds looking right the first time, you can just go back and do some more. So that's getting this sort of a cloudy look. For this wash, I'm not wetting the paper first. The paper it holds the water on the surface too well for me to want more water on the surface. Need your smaller brush here. So we want the bunny to be grounded, not floating in the air. Okay. I'm going to be putting some brighter yellow out here. And then the green that I had was sap green. I'm lightening it a little bit. And I'm going to put some dark grasses. And those are kind of thick. I'll put some skinnier ones going up here. I'll make a few taller ones because of this whatever bloom happened there. Not that it matters too much. And like I said, you can put an Easter egg in there in the grass if you want. You might want to make your grasses shorter than this if you're gonna do that. I'm gonna put a few blue in here since I have that big blue, whatever it was. When I'm doing these grasses, I'm lifting as I go. It's something, you know, you could practice. If you keep the brush the same pressure on the brush, you'll get these wide lines. But if you lift, it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top. I take off Frisket, especially when it's fine lines, with masking tape, and just pull like this. I don't have a ton on here today, just a couple little spots. And like I said, sometimes the lines get fine, and sometimes they get thicker than you hope. And then you always have to do something to the frisket after it's done. So with this, I'm gonna go in here and give it some of this little bit of yellow here. But way out at the ends, I'm gonna leave it the white. And in here, there's some of the rust on the bunny, if you can see that. And so I'm gonna just get a little bit of rust on there. So right here where I made all these, there is a darker line where the neck folds, and I do want that in there. A little bit, not too much, it's just a suggestion of it, but I don't want all these big hairs. And that line actually should come up here higher. Yeah, I don't have a drawing anymore. And that'll give a better shape to his head. To have the line come up here. I'm gonna fuzzy that edge. All right, now this brown, I'm seeing that it goes down into here more than I put it. Just little bits of it. And that makes his back shaped better. And I'm even going to do that down here because this is too sharp of a line. You wouldn't have a backlit look. And it wouldn't be under the grass. So my grass is way taller than the grass in the picture. So I'm going to fuzzy that whole bottom part. And you still have the impression of backlit without all those sharp edges. And I'm going to go to my bleed proof white and do some fixing. So this is bleed proof white by Dr. P.H. Martin. It's like white watercolor paint. And you can mix it with other colors. You can mix it with water and make it runnier. And so I'm going to mix it with some of this gold and add some lighter green to it. And then over here and in here with this, so I have several shades of green. I've mixed over here some bleed proof white, which I use for fix-ups sometimes. It's nicer if you can leave the paper, but sometimes that doesn't work out. And then I'm not going to throw a painting away. And I have this color here that's just some greens mixed with yellow and this bleed proof white to get some grasses that will show all the way up across everything. So they look darker against the green, but they still show up in front of these greens. I'm going to go for a light touch. I'm kind of bracing my finger on the table because if I just do it free on hand, I tend to get them too thick. I'll get a few over this blue here too. Let's see if we can cover that a little bit. Okay, now we want a brighter green. So I have some white in this already. And this looks really loud, but it'll dry a little bit lighter. It won't look as loud on here. And this is spring, so we should have some of these really pretty. If I really want it to pop forward more, I add some more white. So on the rabbit, it's still not showing up very much. There, I like how that's looking. We're going to take the tape off. There we have a quick little cute Easter bunny. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, please hit the subscribe and the bell and the like buttons. Also, if you have comments, please leave comments. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching.